what are some tips or tricks on how to address culture problems as you see them coming up early? And how can you work to sort of change culture from the inside?
So there's two ways to approach this. One way would be the creating a defined culture way, which is a big way. And actually, it's the right way to do it, right? It's actually deliberately designing a set of core values for the organization. And I'm happy to have that conversation with you. But I'm going to answer your question in a different way, because your question is more evocative to this idea that we've got some behavioral problems in the organization that as a leader, maybe I want to deal with transactionally, which is kind of a separate question to the big, how do we define and create a culture question. So here's the problem. Any behavior that exists in an organization that is, let's just say, not virtuous, okay, likely is being tolerated by a manager, a supervisor, a manager, or a leader. And that's actually the problem. So the behavior isn't the problem. The problem is that it's being tolerated. Because when something is tolerated, then it's no different than giving someone permission to continue doing what they're doing, right? So, so if you're with your young child in a candy store and you see them put some candy in their pocket before they walk out the door, and as an adult, you make eye contact with them but say nothing, right? We teach our children to steal candy, right? And that's a good example because it's a real example of what happens in an organization. So if I'm in a meeting, John, with you, and I see you, let's say, act out, right, in the meeting, or say something with some implicit bias or sexism in the meeting, and I'm in the meeting with you and I'm your boss, and I don't say anything after the fact, and I just let it go. All right. You are being taught effectively that that's an acceptable way of being because you're never being corrected. Right. And so as leaders, we got to look really carefully at what we're tolerating, and we got to make sure that we're having the right conversations with our people. And oh, by the way, we also got to make sure we're leading by example, because it's kind of hard for me to have a conversation with you about being inappropriate in a meeting if actually I'm inappropriate in a meeting too. And so we have to be very careful in this behavioral zone of not falling into the do as I say, not as I do trap. And for leaders, it's all about what you're tolerating in yourself and in others. And so, when I hear a leader complain about something that's going on in the organization, my first question is, great, what's your role? What's been your role in creating that? They're taken back a little, like, wait, what do you mean by what's my role? Well, what's your role in creating it? Because you're clearly, you either hired this person, right? Or you're tolerating this behavior from them, and you've tolerated it for some time. So what's your role? Let's acknowledge that, because that's the real lesson you got to learn. And then let's talk about what do we do to deal with this.